Hey everyone, today we're looking at every killer's most disturbing outfit. Trapper Hidden Wishes. There's a sad yet disturbing story behind this one. This one tells the story of Evan drawing a creature based on his father's anger and fury that he saw within his eyes, embodied now into this Cyclops creature. Back then, Evan drew this seemingly as a means to protect himself maybe, but now in the realm he has become this very monster, and by consequence his father too. The skin itself is also just very scary looking, but also a disturbing look into Evan's life before, and how it now manifests. Wraith Glowing Vigil. I went with this as it's one of Wraith's darkest cosmetics. It's one which embodies his trauma and past, with it said to hold great darkness, and the weapon having dark energy surging through its vertebra. There is however one saving grace, with it being the final light of Wraith's humanity, represented by the candle burning on his head. Candles however will eventually burn out. Each day Philip's humanity regresses and the darkness takes over. Billy, Thousand-Eyed Toad. I went with this one for Billy as not only is it just very visually disturbing, but the story behind it is also very off-putting too. It recounts his days of being trapped inside the shed outside of the fractured cowshed, peering out and seeing the animals roaming free, and imagining what his own freedom would look like. He seems to imagine himself as a toad, free and able to strike at his parents. This horrible memory and thought combining have produced this look for him in the realm, a body twisted by painful memories, morphing him into a grotesque toad-like creature. Nurse Fading Fire. There's a lot of options for Nurse, but I decided to go with this one, as from what I can tell it seems to have captured and trapped Sally in a moment during the burning of Crotus Pren Asylum, when she was likely still inside and burning with it. She is in a persistent state of pain, but she doesn't know why. Maybe this could explain the pain of her blinks is potentially from a similar thing of her reliving or experiencing the pains of burning in the asylum's walls. An outfit that's trapped her mind in the memory of that inferno. Huntress Were-Elk. It's got to be this one I think, this being the horrific embodiment of all of the stories surrounding the Red Forest and the creature within. It's also more likely Anna's true form, with her really being a Were-Elk. This would certainly explain her greater than usual strength, agility, and endurance. The Were-Elk itself is very visually disturbing, with it covered in the trinkets and items of its victims, blades still remaining in it from past fights, and a grizzled mouth filled with stabbing teeth. Maya's Prestige. Maya's doesn't have many options, but one that does have quite a disturbing element is Maya's Prestige outfit. It's his weapon in particular that's disturbing, with it mentioning that the veins present on it are still pulsing with the life of its victims. A pretty disturbing thing, with this being one of the entity's powers to keep parts of things alive. Hag Swamp Creature. This is an outfit that came about as a result of Hag investigating a lost realm. It makes you wonder about all of the disturbing possibilities hidden within these lost realms, with this being one of its products. She becomes a fish-human hybrid, and the lore makes very clear she smells pretty terrible too. Doctor the Transplant. This one is disturbing even for Doctor's standards, being a combination of various body parts stitched together and brought to life. I don't think it's even technically Doctor, but instead one of his horrific creations with his newfound ability to spew electricity from his fingertips. What's worse is this creation is said to live in constant pain, but despite this, thrive in the pain. Bubba Prestige. I personally don't find any particular outfit of Bubba's more disturbing than the other. Each has a story behind it I'm sure, but we can't be too sure what the story was. Therefore I went with Bubba's Prestige look due to some of the description we get. He's said to be covered in specifically type O blood, which gives a bit more detail on the victim. It also gives us more context that they were likely taken apart whilst still alive, which is more than disturbing. Freddy's Prestige. Freddy only has two options, but I think the bloodied version is a little more disturbing due to one line in its flavor text, this being his body, which states it to be dripping with his prey's blood. This could just be a reference to the survivors, which is disturbing anyway, but it could also reference his obsession, Nancy, and possibly even her death, a possible yet brutal reveal of what may have happened after the events of the film. Pig, Blighted Pig. I went with this outfit as this one has a disturbing but also sad backstory. Amanda reacts to her new blighted state with a strange acceptance that this is simply another gruesome test she must endure. The inferred story of it I like too. The blighted serum frequently brings stuff to life or accentuates a person's features. I think there's a good chance that Amanda's pig mask here has actually become a part of her, instead of just being a mask, and not only that, but sprouted a second head. Her knife is further said to be like an extension of her arm, with it maybe literally being morphed to her too, with it stated to now be growing out of a pocket of hardened pus, so Amanda and the pig seem to have become one. Clown hot dog cook. This might be a strange choice to go with. I chose this one due to the hinted story beneath it. His blade is mentioned to cut sausages, among other things. We can presume these other things were even potentially served up to the people too in his role of hot dog cook, so pretty disturbing. Spirit Awakened Origin. This outfit depicts the story of Rin connecting with her Yamaoka ancestors after defeating one of her opponents in a sparring match. She feels the rage bubbling up inside of her. When she closes her eyes, she sees blood and hears screams. The cause of this is likely because it's actually Kazan, or the Oni's old sparring armor. Wearing it seems to connect Rin with him, and almost force this rage out of her. A disturbing thought, and a sign of Oni's power too. And it's also just sort of heartbreaking seeing Rin turn into this monster. Legion, Subliminal Menace, Frank. I went with this one as I think it provides quite a disturbing look at the realm itself and the entity. The outfit tells the story of Frank hearing a sinister scratching noise, and with this sound alone his physical body begins to morph into this, a face with a mouth open in an eternal scream and covered in blood. The realm is capable of morphing and molding your physical body based on your thoughts and their reception of sounds, smells, and senses in general. Plague Forsaken Land. This is my pick for Plague because it shows how devoted she is, disturbingly so. When entering the void for this outfit, she isn't horrified but instead honoured that she is there, and it further makes reference that she feels grateful to have otherworldly gifts, which is presumably her vomit power, I guess? That's disturbing alone. She's into her power. To oppose this though, there's sort of a wholesome moment in her weapon, with her mention to calm a restless spirit. So she's really messed up and super thrilled to be here, but she does clearly have some humanity, even if it's toward those drained of it. Ghostface a Brush Hunter. I actually chose this one, although there are a few others that fit well too. It tells the story of Ghostface becoming bored of hunting in the cities and so choosing to hunt in the wilderness too. He specifically chooses to wear a steel mask on this outfit, so that the victim will see a glint of it before Ghostface gets to them, with this likely being more visible out in the wilderness. A subtle reveal of his twisted mind. Demogorgon, Twisted Demogorgon. This outfit tells the story of Demo's entrance to the fog and what it did to it. Demogorgon was altered by the fog itself, transforming it into part Demogorgon but also something greater, and now armored with this strange black covering. Another physical reaction to the realm. Oni Curse Fate. I chose this outfit as it shows off how people viewed Oni during his slaughter across Japan. The monster they saw who brought only death. What they saw him as was a disturbing, twisted version of what he really was. A monster and no longer a man, but an Oni. His body is physically transformed with claws and horns appearing too. Deathslinger Tortured Nightmare. This one is disturbing because we know how disturbing Slinger is. This outfit is manifested from nightmares he had of his own devices being used on him, which is a good insight into the devices he's creating. He himself is scared of them. The facial piece is one that has spikes that dig into the face, the chest one seems to pierce or crush it, and the weapon has a rusty chain, and a particularly grisly looking spear tip. We can assume as this is the entity's realm that all of this is active on his body, causing persistent pain. Pyramid Head, Pyramid Blight. This one is disturbing with it being a dark look into the fact that Pyramid Head can be physically altered and changed despite his existence as a being created from a mind. He required multiple serum vials too in order to change by the looks of it. It could very well be the case that this version of Pyramid Head will be the one that hunts down Talbot to make him face up to his guilt, a blighted version of James's story. Blight Aquatic Anomaly. This is a messed up one for Blight, although he does have a number. Any of his in fact have an argument for most disturbing. Its story is that of a corpse being pulled from the sea, with sea creatures crawling inside it and living there. Talbot then decides to merge these creatures with the body, or something like that, likely using the serum to create this monstrosity that we see, with its mix of bizarre features and piercing red eyes. Twins Flesh and Bones. This one is just sort of visually disturbing. The story behind it seems to simply be that Charlotte collected so many bones to wear as armor, I think, that they began to sprout moss and flowers, which is pretty messed up. Trickster Gwishin Spotlight. This outfit seems to tell both a childhood story of Ji-woon, but also recalls one of his most brutal serial killings, where he seems to have placed a victim onto a pyre and set it alight, later saving the recording of them screaming. For that alone, I've chosen this one. He further then seems to have made an outfit based on this story and using the victim's scream as part of a performance. Nemesis Prestige, another pick for a bloody outfit due to it suggesting that he has succeeded in his hunt of stars. It also just makes him look far more scary and disturbing, so yeah, not too many options to be fair. Pinhead the Hell Priest. This one I chose simply as it's sort of prime Pinhead seemingly, said to be an outfit displaying intricate forms of body scarification to experiment with the limits of human sensation. Quite a wordy description. A prime Pinhead outfit almost, so slightly more disturbing than his base. Artist Image of the Furies. This one is one of the more visually disturbing artist outfits from the get-go, but it also has a disturbing story to go with it. It's seemingly her own artistic interpretation of ancient goddesses, and the vicious ways they took vengeance. She's therefore almost painting herself, creating this monster to exact her revenge. Sadako Deadly Equinox. I went with this one, although both this and her rotten remains are disturbing choices. This outfit shows her body twisted by her time in the well, bright red and stripped of skin, with long yellowed nails. Her eye beneath is mildly terrifying, the flowers across her sprouting due to her essentially rotting inside the well, inviting the growths. Dredge War is Hell. This is a twisted depiction of the aftermath of a battle of some kind, seemingly an ancient one in Roman times perhaps. This is disturbing not only visually, but also for the fact that this means Dredge existed all the way back then too. There's not much of a story, but the flavor text hints that Dredge could not be stopped from absorbing the dead of the battlefield. A horrifying thing visually, but also so mysterious and disturbing too. Wesker Blighted Wesker. This is probably Wesker's most disturbing look, and mainly for the story behind it being that he chose to inject himself with the Blighted Serum, just for the potential of greater power, and an enhanced Ouroboros, combining the two. Visually it's quite disturbing too, causing him to grow sharp bone-like knuckles. Night Grim Campaign. I find this one quite disturbing as it's seemingly the outfit he wore for the majority or peak of his massacring days. The armor is described to inspire horror in all villages. The very armor that caused so much fear, and the last thing so many saw. Skull Merchant Opening Gala. This one may look very fancy and flashy, but does have a dark story behind it. This outfit was something that Adriana wore to a public art museum in Fortaleza. As she walked around, she imagines all of the people as victims, a look into her twisted mind. It's also a bold move on her part, with the outfit being a part of her Skull Merchant look, just without the weapon, which is stated to be stashed away in her limo. This one is disturbing to me as it shows off one of her scarier features of her hiding in plain sight. Singularity Huxlee Hybrid. This one is simply disturbing for the fact that this outfit is made up of the members of the Devaka crew, both androids but also humans and clones, all combined into one abomination. This outfit's flavor text simply reading, "You are what you kill." It's sort of the lore-accurate depiction of what he may have looked like as he initially slaughtered the crew and started to build the perfect body. So the story behind this is basically what you see of the aftermath on the map of Devaka. Xenomorph Clone. This outfit is by far the most disturbing of Xenomorph's outfits, with it being a combination of Xenomorph and human DNA, the product of a twisted genetic experiment. It also mentions that it has two minds fused into one, which I believe are both a Xenomorph and Ripley. It has this oddly constructed body therefore, with it partly appearing human and partly Xenomorph, with its strange skin coloring for a Xenomorph and bones jutting out in places of its typical darker armor-like features. Chucky Charred Chucky. I've gone there's so many of them that are just like their name and then it repeats. Anyway, I've gone with this one for Chucky as it mentions one of his most disturbing aspects, which is that his body is a combination of doll and human. Due to spending so long inside the body of the good guy doll, Chucky begins to become human inside of it, to the point where his plastic skin, if cut, would bleed and he'd feel the pain. And in this case, he feels the burning and it actually is visible on his skin. Unknown Greenville Cheer. This outfit is largely disturbing for who the unknown targets, a cheerleader who was likely very young and went in a brutal way. The lore describes the scene of Unknown possibly already taking another student, as it mentions a quarterback appearing at a football game the same night as the cheerleader's disappearance. That was missing as well. It's likely Unknown took on this quarterback's body to appear at the game and lure over the cheerleader. Perhaps they were even together. What makes this even worse is that Unknown used a wrench it scavenged from a nearby shed, a pretty brutal weapon of choice. What's creepier is Unknown seems to then use the cheerleader's body to appear a decade later at a game, confusing just about everyone. Vecna Whispered One. This outfit details Vecna's attack on the floating city of Sigil, which is apparently a city which sits in the center of the multiverse, with the city having portals that lead to many different areas within it. It shows off Vecna's true power, therefore, with his invasion of it. He wears armor almost like it's a conquest, with the skulls of those he's conquered hanging from his belt. A disturbing look at the sight many see as he invades, causing what is stated to be disruptions that reverberated through the multiverse. Dracula True Form. This outfit, from my understanding, is Dracula's true form and not the facade he puts up with his more orderly regular appearance. This is his full power and potential look. With it comes longer extended claws, talons on his feet, multiple sets of wings, and these strange tentacles with mouths sprouting out like additional appendages. Oh, and the big eye in the center of his chest, I guess, is quite a disturbing feature too. Truly horrifying, and the reality of this guy. Let me know any outfits you think are worthy of this list down below. I want to thank you all too for the support over on the new channel, and there's another Dead by Daylight video up there that you can go check out too. Thanks, and goodbye.